I didn't really have a computer that I used all the time until well into college. Um, but that song was kind of in high school. I kind of had a letter writing romance with a girl, and I was trying to remember that time, and it's all just colored by the feeling of waiting. Like an entire summer, pretty much half a year, is just like this feeling of like this anxiousness of waiting for letters to arrive, and it kind of coloring the whole time, and like all day, every day, it's like there's this almost a cloud of feeling hanging over everything. And I'd walk, because we were in Maine for the summer, and I'd walk down to the post office and be like, oh, no, it didn't come today, and then walk back, and the whole day was just about consumed by that feeling. And I was just kind of realizing that it's like, not to be like an old grandpa, but that's like one of the things that I'll be able to describe to my grandkids that will kind of blow their mind a little bit, if they actually choose to try and relate to it.
Because now it's so easy to just, you want a song, you got it in 2 seconds. Yeah. But it's also a feeling of when you didn't have that and you heard a song somewhere and then you had to remember it, like you just had the memory of that song until you heard it again, And I definitely grew up like this, and I think it actually it trained my brain big time, because I can play songs forward and backwards, because I was so passionate about hearing these songs that I would just drink the sounds and just trying to remember every detail and just play it in my head, trying to, reproduce what I just heard until I heard it again.
I think kind of from the early days of this band, I think that we've always tried to really engage with the audience, and sometimes it's a little bit more what's the word, like aggressive or antagonistic, and sometimes it's more kind of communal. But I think those are kind of two poles of how we've always, like when we used to play Wake Up, like when we played in Brantford or whatever, and we're playing for as many people as in the band, like I think Wake Up had a very, not antagonistic, but a very almost violent,
was that war?
An assault sort of. And I think that those are really two really important poles of the band. And for Rococo, it's definitely with a wink. It's definitely it isn't like a litany of what's wrong with modern kids. There's definitely there's definitely a wink there. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of inspired a bit by the feeling, like the actual Rococo, which is like the period. I really think of the French Rococo, but the kind of high, courtly period, and it's like it's kind of become a derogatory term for in art criticism and stuff, like, oh, that's Rococo. It's too complicated. It's gaudy. But that period was kind of like the height of the worst period of the French in Haiti, and it was kind of like this image of these French colonists, these big collars, in their full Rococo regalia, being in Haiti, and just sweating and having these mosquitoes come, and this kind of feeling of trying to translate that to a modern context, and looking at the kind of this kind of technological peak of gadgetry and kind of every kind of frivolousness, but all with a bit of a wink, I think, as well. It's kind of playing with that idea a little bit.